to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. If you are new, hey, hi, hello. My name is Ashton and I'm glad that you're here. Welcome. It has been a minute, and it has been a minute because I have been filming this vlog for years. I'm just kidding. For a long time though. It feels like a really long time. So I'm glad to see you guys. And it's still not a reading vlog in my reading corner like I promised. Sorry. So in this video, I take you guys on a little vacation with me. It's a little cozy reading vlog. It's mostly just clips of the things that we saw and me reading. For today's lineup for books, this is what we're going to be reading. Typically, one would film these clips before actually making the reading vlog, so I can't sit here and be like, I'm so excited to read this book. But on the TBR for today's video is I Hope This Doesn't Find You by Anne Liang, a YA romance kind of contemporary. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. United States of Cryptids by J.W. Alker, which is kind of just an overview. It's a nonfiction book, an overview of cryptids. Carmichael's by Natasha Ellison, which is a YA middle grade sci-fi fantasy book that follows a group of young friends as they uncover a mystery of a missing girl and also corrupt government and aliens. So we also have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, which is an adult romance, and then we also have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, which is a young adult dystopian book. I think it's young adult dystopian with a lot of romance. Without further ado, let's move on to this video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you as soon as I see you. is my first update. As you can probably tell, it's the end of the travel day, so I'm showered, my hair is soaking wet, and also it's really hot in the upstairs, so my husband opened a window and now all you can hear are frogs. So if you hear a bunch of frogs, that's the window above me. We are in Idaho, just outside of Grand Teton, and by just outside I mean a little bit outside of Grand Teton National Park. It's about 10 p.m. right now, and that means that back home it's like 1 midnight, 1, it's 1 a.m. back home. I left the East Coast this morning. I woke up at 4:30, so I've almost been awake for 24 hours, according to East Coast time. I'm not even feeling that tired. Like midway through the day, I hit a moment where I was like falling asleep, and once I got past that hump, I'm just like here. So I'm frightened for what that means for me. I don't really know how this vlog is going to come out. I'm anticipating it coming out a little bit like I did a travel vlog on my channel a couple of years ago. I'm anticipating that it'll come out a little bit like that, but we'll see. Today though was pretty much just traveling, but I did get some reading done, so I wanted to update you. On the plane, I finished I Hope This Doesn't Find You by Anne Liang, which is a young adult contemporary novel set in Melbourne, Australia. It follows a set of two academic rivals who compete in everything, but the main character is a girl named Sadie, and it's basically like an inverse to All the Boys I've Loved Before. Instead of Laura Jean sending out love letters to all of the boys that she's ever had crushes on, Sadie writes these like rant emails when she's upset with somebody, excepting that one day they all get leaked. So it's like emails to a girl who's been like copying all of her homework, angry emails to a teacher at her like private school, and then of course a plethora of emails to her academic rival, Julius. After these emails come out, the principal is like, this rivalry, I get it, but like honestly, it's getting to be too much. So he puts them together. It is so heartwarming and good. When I picked up this book, I picked it up on audio book, but it was so witty and like caught my attention so quick that I actually picked it up on my Kindle and like read the ebook. And it is on Kindle Unlimited, by the way, which I think is interesting because typically if the audiobook, like if the book is all right, then I'll listen to it on audiobook and I'll be totally fine with that. But if the audiobook narrator is really good, then I will still want to stick with the audiobook. But this was like a situation where the audiobook narrator was really good and the book was really good. So I think I just wanted to read the story faster than I would have been able to with an audiobook, and that's why I picked it up on the ebook, because it was literally so good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I love this book. It is so funny, it is so witty, and the main character has this thing where like she really cannot stand people getting angry, raising their voice around her. And that's rooted in trauma, but she also like really struggles with just knowing that there are people out in the world who like don't like her and like think that she's a villain, and that really resonated with me on a different level. I don't know. So I loved like the character arc that we see Sadie having, because it's not just like, oh, I'm a people pleaser. It's a little bit deeper than that, and I liked that we kind of like dug our heels in with that. And then Julius is more than just like, oh, he's the brooding like love interest. He has a lot more than that going for him, and he also has an individual character arc that I really like, because I feel like their arcs absolutely intertwine with each other. So I liked the characters a lot. I loved the plot a lot. Where I docked the half star was, it was a mixture of two things. One, I felt like the themes that we were promised could have been delivered on just a tiny bit more. Like I liked the character arcs, but I feel like they could have been fleshed out just a tiny bit more. And then the writing style. I have a love-hate relationship with this writing style because it's unique, it's witty, it's quick, and it sets it apart from others like in that genre. But also though, some of those phrases and just like constructions in the novel are things that like they just grammatically don't make any sense. You can get away with a lot in creative writing, but like sometimes when you are spotting those and like you have the grammar rules and stuff, it can just be kind of irritating to read grammatically incorrect things that often. And it's, when I say grammatically incorrect, I don't mean like y'all or like whatever you're thinking, oh, you missed a comma or something like that. I mean like a construction that doesn't make any sense. It would be like, he tilted his head, the window open. It's just a lot of those things could have been fixed with like, he tilted his head as the window opened. He tilted his head, the window opening. I don't love it. But I absolutely loved the rest of the book, and I can't wait to pick up another Anne Liang novel because after that I started Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is my third Abby Jimenez book. I read Just for the Summer and Part of Your World. So this is the third one, which is Yours Truly, and the third one. I'm reading them completely out of order actually, but I had this one on hold from my library for a really long time, or I was like waiting for it, and it just came up, so I finished that novel on the plane, and then I started this one on Kindle because you can use that Libby app, but you can use the Libby app to put your ebooks into Kindle Unlimited so you can read them on your Kindle. Shout out Libby, shout out your local library. So I've just started it. From what I know, it's about Brianna, who is an ER doctor and going through a divorce, and her brother is like, he's in kidney failure, like he's on dialysis and he's waiting for a donor, like a kidney donor. Her life just seems to be like falling apart. Like her best friend just got married and moved away, and just all of these things are falling apart like one by one by one by one. One steady thing that she has going for her in her life is that she's going to be up for this chief of like emergency medicine position. The thing is, like, she doesn't even want this position really. It's just like some type of security, some type of stability. But they were going to put it to a vote. She was going to be part of it. And then a new doctor comes to town, Jacob, and the chief is like, oh, like the current chief, he's like, we're gonna postpone the vote because I want people to know Jacob first. Really, these are semantics. The point is, it's a love story. That's all I really know. Don't get me wrong, I am enjoying it so far, but I'm like, oh, what? Like, this story is moving quick. I'm 30-something% through the book, and like, I feel like that the climax of the book has already happened, so I'm like, what's coming next? That's all I have for right now. I'm gonna go do my Duolingo because y'all know I stay on the Duolingo grind. And by that I mean my streak is on day like 8 or 9. I will keep you updated with whenever we do next. just finished Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts. It's been a minute since I last updated you because I totally forgot to update yesterday. I don't know, I feel like I've lived 12 lifetimes. I feel like every time you go on vacation, you're in like a time continuum. That's exactly how I feel right now. Honestly, the only thing that's in my mind right now is the scenery that I've seen today and How to Train Your Dragon. And I also just got done watching Twisters, so it's like How to Train Your Dragon, but instead of the music, it's just country music. That's where I'm at. I did finish Yours Truly. It took me 2 days, so I'm gonna give you my thoughts. I don't know how to explain any grievances without just spoiling the book, but I do have to say, like, I had friends recommend this book to me. There's something that happens in this book that I feel like I should have been, like, when you're recommending this book to me, I feel like maybe you should have told me that that was going to happen in this book, because, like, okay, let me explain. So Yours Truly follows, I think I told you guys, it follows Brianna. I'm gonna call her Brianna. It follows Brianna and Jacob. Jacob is like, they're both ER doctors. Jacob struggles a lot with anxiety and his ex is marrying his brother. Brianna struggles a lot with trust issues because her husband that she just gets divorced from at the beginning of this book has been sleeping with her best friend for like 2 years. And also she has, like, her father walked out on her, so she has a lot of trust issues when it comes to men. Also, her brother needs a kidney transplant. There's that. So the plot of this book really is like Jacob is new to the hospital that they work at, and she's mean to him at first, but then she realizes that, like, he's actually kind of nice, and so they start writing these letters back and forth and kind of, in my personal opinion, organically falling in love. But Brianna's kind of sworn off of men. She does not want to get married again. She does not want to have kids. Like, she's been hurt and burned so bad by her ex-husband that she's like, I'm not doing that. So she's just trying to date around, like, casually, but I feel like these two, like, organically kind of have, like, a pretty good connection. But then for some reason, yeah, I don't know, like, Jacob tests to see if he's a kidney donor match for Brianna's brother. Halfway through the book, they start fake dating, and then they're like, oh, none of this is real or whatever. And he wants to fake date because he needs a date to his brother and ex's wedding, and he doesn't want to look like super heartbroken because apparently the family won't accept his brother and his ex's marriage if he's not, like, super gung-ho, like, excited about it. Like, he has to react well. It's kind of a weird plot, to be actually so honest with you. And there's also kind of not really a plot. I found myself several times in this book, like, something would happen, they would be having, like, banter or something like that, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, she was so funny, like, I literally had tears in my eyes. I'm like, I didn't laugh once at any of this exchange, actually. So there was that. I have to talk about this spoiler in order to tell you about my thoughts on this book. So spoilers incoming. 90% of the way through the book, accidental pregnancy trope. For what? I don't know. That opens up an entire can of worms, like, so much trauma, and Brianna starts, like, unpacking all of this trauma. But then, mind you, like I just said, this is 90% of the way through the book. We don't have time to unpack this trauma because freaking, what's his name, Jacob's going in to get his kidney removed to give it to, what's his name, her brother. So he gives her his journal to read, and that suddenly, like, that, I don't want to say, like, oh, that fixes her trauma, but, like, y'all, like, the turnaround, the night and day difference, because they don't have a lot of time to, like, really develop that. She just, I don't know that I fully understand the ending of the book. I felt like it was very quick. Very, very quick. So I didn't love that. But the romance was, like, very interesting because I thought that the characters were very different from your normal or, like, your typical romance read. Like, I feel like this isn't the typical guy, like, love interest. But I also feel like Brianna isn't really typical either. I don't know. They just feel like quirky characters. They honestly feel like quirky side characters that maybe like wouldn't have their own book, but I'm glad that they do have their own book. I definitely felt like Jacob was the main character until we hit 90%, and then suddenly Brianna was the main character, and that was wild. I thought though that Jacob's representation of anxiety, like the representation of anxiety in the book, through the things that Jacob does, I found that to be extremely realistic. There's a dog. I found it to be extremely realistic, and also like I love how dedicated he is to like centering himself, and like I don't know, I liked a lot the conversation around that and being in a relationship with that. I definitely thought that the mental health representation for anxiety was the strongest thing about this book. I texted my friend and I told her, I don't know that I like this guy, but that's because I feel like I am this guy. I feel very middle of the road about this book. This is definitely my least favorite Abby Jimenez. I've read 3 so far. This is definitely my least favorite, which is kind of disappointing because I thought that this one was gonna give me the feeling that I got when I read Just for the Summer. So I was like really excited about it because that one's been my favorite, and then it didn't give me that feeling at all. Next on my list for Abby Jimenez is definitely gonna be her new one, Say You'll Remember Me, because it looks just like the cover looks very similar to Just for the Summer, so I feel like it'll have similar writing, like similar vibes maybe, although I hear that one's really sad. Anyway, I'm thinking like a 3.25 is kind of where I'm sitting with this one. You see this fly? The next book that we're gonna read though, I don't know. I should read Sunrise on the Reaping. No, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm torn between Scythe though, because I need to get that read for book club, and then this other Anne Lang book that I did check out from the library because it was an ebook, and I already put it on my Kindle because I was like, oh, why not? I enjoyed the last one so much. So I'll keep you updated on what I decide to start reading next. Hey guys, it's been a minute since we talked. I think it's been about a week. I got back from vacation, so I was gonna film more on vacation, but then I just wasn't feeling like myself. Family vacations are a trying scenario sometimes because you just are like, oh, like so used to living out on your own and doing all of these things, and then suddenly like you're with everybody all of the time, which is like simultaneously great, but then as an introvert it's like I need a moment to rest and recharge. I need a minute. By the end of vacation I was tweaking. We flew from Montana. It was like a tiny little airport in Bozeman, Montana. So cute, but it literally looked like a ski lodge in there. Like it looked nothing like an airport. Anyway, we flew from there into Dallas. I think it was Dallas, the Dallas airport. And the Dallas airport, y'all, for reference, right? I am from the South, and the South, the entire time that I was out west, was experiencing a very intense heat wave. 2 days before, maybe it was the day before, I had been in Yellowstone and it was snowing, as you guys saw. I fly into the Dallas airport. The airport is toasty. The airport, like there's a bunch of windows all along the seating area, which like makes sense because so you can see the plane, but like the heat was just radiating in from those windows. So by the time I got on the second plane, we were waiting to get on the plane for so long, I'm like sweating to death because you can feel the heat from outside, and then I was already hot in the airport. By the time I get on the plane's crowded and the plane's hot. We take off and I'm like literally about to pass out. And I didn't tell you guys really anything. I think I showed you a little bit of what I was reading, but I didn't really tell you. So I thought I would give a little bit of a recap here of what I read for the rest of the trip. Starting off, I started a book by an author that I found on Instagram. Her name is Natasha Ellison, and the book is The Carmichaels. Back when I was in, I think like 8th grade, maybe 9th grade, I was obsessed with 80s movies. So when Stranger Things came out, I was like, yes, like I'm all over this, right? And so like I was obsessed with like The Karate Kid, like the vibes of like E.T., like just stuff like this. Like I was really in this era, right? The Carmichaels is really, like if you like the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things, you are gonna love The Carmichaels. And I say that because I only watched the first 2 seasons, but those were the vibes heavily in the first, especially that first season, very related to The Carmichaels. So if you like that, if you like Stranger Things, if you like 80s movies, if you love like a little like spacey sci-fi moment, The Carmichaels is definitely a great option. So The Carmichaels is a young adult series, although I would maybe categorize it as a middle grade series. The main characters are all 14 years old. I think there's about 5 of them, but they do read a little bit younger to me. Now, for reference, I am 22, so maybe it's that I'm just like that far removed from being 14, or maybe they just read a little bit younger because they don't really like it's I think it's set back in time a little bit, and they don't like, there's no cursing, there's no swearing, there's no spice, like obvious they're 14, there's none of that. So that could also be related, unless you consider hell a swear word, in which case there is a lot of that in there. So it follows a group of 14-year-olds, and it switches point of views between 3 of the guys, Johnny, Austin, and Eric. And Austin is just my favorite. I love him. Like, he's so sweet. Then there's 2 girls, Ren or Lauren, and Sadie. And so the book kind of switches between the point of view of the 3 guys. And after a really boring summer, Johnny's been with his grandma all summer, and the rest were kind of adventuring without him. But, you know, they're really in the mood for an adventure, and Johnny's friends tell him, hey, like, we discovered this crazy government base in the woods, like, you have to come check it out. So the 5 leave a field trip and go out into the middle of the woods, where they discover this government base, and they decide to infiltrate it, as a group of 14-year-olds would. They see a young girl in there, and they're like, oh my gosh, that is the long lost Adeline Carmichael. This town, there is like this long drawn out rumored history about this girl who went missing, named Adeline or Adeline Carmichael, and she went missing I think like a decade ago. Her family, the Carmichaels, lived on Creep Street, but after just like ostracization and like rumors from the town, they end up moving or so they think they did, because the group also spots her brothers at the house on Creep Street. So they're like, what's going on? So anyway, they help break out Ottawa and Carmichael, and it is just wild. There's like space, alien life matter stuff, corrupt government things, memory wipes. Like, it is truly something. There's a full review on my Instagram and I think my Goodreads if you want to check it out. I ended up giving the book 4 stars. There are just a few like grammatical or prosy things that I couldn't help but notice, but overall I thought the prose very well matched the story, and I really did think that the 3 boys read differently. I loved the characters. The atmosphere was amazing. There was like an inclusion of songs and posters of musical artists and stuff that I just thought really worked well within the book. I also want to take a moment here because I didn't really get to have this moment on my Instagram, but there is, I think it's Eric's older brother, Dean. You guys know the older brother figure. I don't have to point this out, like Roderick, bro. Like, I don't have to point it out to you. You know the older brother, right? There's like a couple of scenes with him because they need him to drive them somewhere, and it reads so much like how the movie Monster House feels. So if you like Monster House, maybe you'll love Dean. I don't know why, but he was just like giving me the vibes of a character from Monster House, and I ate it up. Something else that I read on the trip that I didn't really talk about while I was reading it was The United States of Cryptids, A Tour of American Myths and Monsters by J.W. Walker. So I actually checked this out from my library, and I'm pretty sure it is due back like right now. Didn't get to read it all, but I did get to read some of it, and it was absolutely fascinating. I've got this growing interest in cryptids and like the cryptid iceberg and folklore and all of this stuff. So I think I might purchase the book or look at some other alternatives, because this is a very like loose overview of cryptids, and this is including like popular cryptids, not very popular cryptids, cryptozoology. It really focuses on like, it doesn't really matter whether the cryptid is real or not. It's more so about like how it's real to us, and we make Bigfoot festivals and Lizardman festivals and this, that, and the other. So if you're interested in cryptids, I would suggest checking this out. I found the introduction or the foreword to be very informative, but if you don't really know much about cryptids and just kind of want to get into it, then I would really suggest it, because it is a very, very slight overview, and it separates the cryptid by region, and it usually will tell you like the sighting date or the year, the size of the cryptid, things like that. And then they also usually have these really cool like drawings to accompany it, which is helpful because if you're somebody like me, it's hard to imagine a cryptid really. Something else that you see me reading a lot of in this video is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. If you guys don't know, I am in the middle of a reread of the entire Hunger Games series so that I can read Sunrise on the Reaping, because it is part of my thesis research project. This has been enough to put me almost in a reading slump. Y'all, I did not love Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes back the first time I read it, and this as a diehard Hunger Games fan. But I read it back when it came out, so I was still in high school, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it here because you probably won't be hearing too much about the series from me about this book from me moving forward, because I'm going to focus on Sunrise on the Reaping. But anyway, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is a reread for me. The first time I read it, I gave it 2 stars because I just thoroughly did not enjoy it. This time around, I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it, but I think that I am placing the dissatisfaction somewhere differently from it being a bad book. So I wanted to dig into that nuance a little bit. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, if you're not familiar, is the prequel to President Snow, and why he ends up the way he does in the Hunger Games trilogy, right? So it follows him as he becomes a mentor, actually, for some of the, I think it's the 10th Hunger Games, and his tribute is Lucy Gray Baird, who is amazing, and I love her. So the first part of this book, I would say up to like here or so. Yeah, about here is how much is the Hunger Games, and then here on is like President Snow frolicking around District 12. I'm on page 446 and the book is like 515-ish pages. So I'm almost done with it, kind of. I have less than 100 pages, but y'all, I just feel like I'm trudging to get through it. So the first time I read this book, I just absolutely did not enjoy it. But now I think that I don't enjoy it because I just don't, I know the point of this book is to be about Snow becoming who he is, giving us a psychological look into Snow. But I just find that all of the most interesting parts of this book are not Snow. I would much rather read about the Covey and Lucy Gray, or even Sejanus and whatever, or Sejan or whatever. Like, I would literally rather read about anybody but Snow. And I think that this ties back to, like, Snow, for me, I was never the person who was like, when Tom Blythe played him, I was never the one who was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Like, no. I don't like Snow. He's just so unlikable to me that I don't want to read a book about him. That's honestly the honest truth, because the thing is that Snow is so narcissistic that, like, I just don't believe that he feels any emotion. And, like, it's really just like at some point the book is just him whining and complaining. And I'm sorry, but there's literally a moment where Lucy Gray sings the Ballad of Lucy Gray, and his quote is quite literally, stop y'all, I will literally pull it up. Oh, a ghost story. Ugh, boo, so ridiculous. Well, he'd try hard to love it when he saw the Covey tomorrow. But really, who named their child after a ghost girl? Although, if the girl was a ghost, where was her body? Maybe she got tired of her negligent parents sending her into blizzards and ran off to live in the wild. Okay, that did make me laugh. But boo, so ridiculous. This is your girlfriend singing the song. I can't. It's hard for me because I just dislike Snow so deeply. And also the book is just so long. I really do believe that this book is only enjoyable if you are a die-hard Hunger Games fan. Like, if you really, really, really are into the world and you don't mind just kind of dawdling around. But the thing is like, I know it's all intentional by Suzanne Collins. Like, I don't think it's poor writing. I think, like, I'm supposed to feel this way, but I don't know that I'll be rereading this book again because I genuinely don't think I can go through this experience one more time. I am not having fun. The games were much more enjoyable this time around because I, like, could imagine the arena and I was having a good time. And, like, I really thought the first half of the book was flying, like, it was gas. This, though, and Snow was just so unlikable. Like, I don't want to spend another second with him. I can't do it. I was waiting to finish this video until I finished Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but it's just not happening. So, I mean, it is happening, but I'm not waiting. Last thing I read in this video is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, which is sitting up there. I only got in like a little tiny bit of reading for that, so I'm not really gonna cover my thoughts on it because truly, what was the use? So, in total, I think we finished 3 books this trip. I think so. I think we finished 3 and read 3, like in the middle of reading 3. So you know what? I count that as a win. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I need to put something out on YouTube. It's been literally a month. I need to stop doing this. You guys, I'm sorry. I am active on Instagram though, so you can find me over there. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one, okay? Hopefully in a week from now. Love you so much. Mwah. Bye.